Hi, my name is Dwayne Gathers, and welcome to Civitas LA, where we feature diverse and emerging leaders who make up this dynamic region and are creating community every day and building a better tomorrow. Each week, we hear from, learn from, and are inspired by a new generation of civic entrepreneurs who are forging a path forward in making Los Angeles a stronger, more resilient, and connected group of citizens. Now more than ever, we aim to elevate civic discourse, foster community connections, and promote civic knowledge and engagement across the greater Los Angeles region while elevating diverse and emerging voices in this civic conversation. Since the 1980s, the International Visitors Council of Los Angeles has worked to build global connections, bringing emerging leaders from around the world to Los Angeles, and sought to connect the LA region's business and civic leaders to the world. IVCLA develops impactful cross-border programs that foster engagement and collaboration that seeks to address vexing issues all nations face, whether creating sustainable communities, promoting tolerance through the arts, empowering women in leadership, controlling infectious diseases, eliminating human trafficking, alleviating chronic poverty, or promoting civic engagement. So with us today, we're delighted to have Janet Elliott, President and CEO of the International Visitors Council of Los Angeles, also known as IVCLA, with us to discuss their work and how they work to bring LA to the world and the world to Los Angeles and to create global community during these challenging times. Janet, welcome to Civitas LA.
Thank you, Dwayne. I'm so honored to be here. Thank you.
Well, we're grateful to have you here with us this afternoon. Janet, as we like to begin our interviews, share a little bit about your background and your journey prior to IVCLA.
Well, I've actually been with IVCLA for 26 years. Prior to that, I was in marketing and communications. I hadn't heard of IVCLA before, and I was networking for the work I was doing and met someone who happened to be an IVCLA member at this networking event, and it was the first I heard of such an organization. I was intrigued. It sounded really interesting. I decided to volunteer. They needed some volunteers. So I was volunteering in the office, and I guess it was about a year or so after that, the director at that time decided to retire, and she approached me if I would be interested in taking that role, and went through the whole process of board approval and all that. But yeah, 26 years ago, that's...
So you went from volunteer to running the organization in a matter of a few years. That's amazing.
Yeah. It was a blessing. Evidently, it was a good fit because it's been 26 years.
No, that's great. Well, you've been there 26 years, and I recognize that IVCLA this year is celebrating its 40th anniversary, so congratulations on that achievement for sure.
Thank you.
Share with our audience how IVCLA came into being and how that work has evolved over these last 4 decades.
Yes, well, as you say, it's our 40th anniversary, and so 40 years ago, we became officially the International Visitors Council of Los Angeles. Actually, we started out the Los Angeles County Council of International Visitors. Prior to that, though, the primary program that we coordinate was being facilitated in Los Angeles through a variety of different entities over the years, USC, UCLA, and then prior to IVCLA beginning with the World Affairs Council. And records are a little sketchy from back then, but the World Affairs Council, for whatever reason, decided they just couldn't do that program anymore. So a group of people who were very engaged, some of them, some of the leaders of LA, Carolyn Amundsen, Barbara Pajan, led the force to create this organization. And it was moving along okay, but it was really when Mayor Bradley gave us a grant from the city of LA that kind of got the financial footing to keep get the organization really stable.
And that's former Mayor Tom Bradley,
yes,
who led LA for a number of years. Okay,
yes.
Interesting. So IVCLA works to promote citizen diplomacy and create these connections. Share with our audience what you mean and what you want to communicate as to what you view citizen diplomacy as.
Well, there's a definition, which is citizen diplomacy is the concept that each citizen has the right, indeed the responsibility, to help shape their country's foreign relations. I firmly believe that is so true. And in the world we live in now, which is so global, even under these circumstances of the pandemic, it is very important to be aware as a citizen and be involved and play a role in the diplomacy of your country. And that can be as simple as when we did have international tourists coming to LA and someone might ask you for directions, the way you respond can let them know in their minds that Americans are either very friendly and helpful or rude. So everyone plays a role when they're traveling and when they're even in their own cities to build better connections with other people in the world.
So we are all citizen diplomats.
We are all citizen diplomats.
In terms of promoting citizen diplomacy, IVCLA manages a number of key programs that really seeks to bring emerging leaders from around the world to our community. Can you speak about some of these programs that you run?
Well, the main program is the International Visitor Leadership Program, which is sponsored by the U.S. Department of State, although we are not fully funded by the State Department. It is a very unique and interesting program, and they are celebrating their 80th anniversary this year.
Okay.
So it's been around for 80 years. The uniqueness of the program is that the U.S. embassies all over the world choose these visitors. They're handpicked, and they are chosen because of the roles they play in their country. They may come from the civil society sector. They may be educators, scientists. They may be from their local governments. They may even be members of parliament. So they come from all walks of life, but they are doing something in their countries that the United States government feels would be helpful for them to come to the U.S. and see how we're doing things and share information with their colleagues in the United States.
And is there an ultimate goal or objective on behalf of the U.S. State Department in selecting these particular leaders?
Not a specific goal as to what would these visitors do when they go back home. It's just a broad program that will give them the information to know how we handle the situation. And hopefully, our goal in Los Angeles is hopefully to create collaborations. So the program continues when they go back home. Mm-hmm. It doesn't end when they get on the plane home. It continues with hopefully collaborations that continue for a long time.
And and I'm sure there's a hope that these are also going to be long-term relationships for not only our region but for our country as well in those respective parts of the world. I know home hospitality is a feature of the visitor's experience and the ability to share a meal with some of our residents. Tell me about that particular program, because I think that's really fascinating.
Yes, that's something we do with our visitors that come on all our programs. This is really citizen diplomacy down to the very citizen level. While the visitors are in Los Angeles, we arrange for them to meet with members who join IVCLA because they're interested in citizen diplomacy. So it ranges from all types of whatever the host would like to do, but it gives them the opportunity to have the visitor in their home, or if they like, take them to a restaurant. But it's nice if they can actually be in an American home.
What about for those people like myself who don't cook?
Takeout's great, right? Right? Now you're used to takeout, right?
Right, exactly.
Or a restaurant is perfectly acceptable as well. The main important part is the conversation. So, and as you know, culinary diplomacy can also be important. So sharing a glass of wine or a meal with someone really can get the conversation going. And it might be about the topic that the visitor is here to discuss, or it might just be about what your children are doing and what their children are doing. It's just building a common bond with a person from another country. And you get to know the actual situation in that country. It's not the PR message.
Right.
It's from a citizen that's living it.
How do area residents become involved in the home hospitality program? Do you have to join IVCLA to become a member of this?
Yes, you do. Anyone can join. Anyone who's interested in international affairs and citizen diplomacy can join IVCLA, and we'd be happy to have all new members.
That's great. We'll make sure that's on our website. I know you manage a lot of programs with various countries, but also around various themes and various topics. And we note that you've also been doing work at the school level, secondary school level, and you've had programs around civic engagement. Of course, one of our key goals of this podcast is to promote civic knowledge and engagement. I think other countries have the same issues around getting people involved. So can you tell us about your citizen diplomacy in the classroom program?
Yes, this is something we're really looking to expand in the future. Of course, right now we're not working on it, but when we did have the visitors coming, they would visit the classrooms and engage with the students, and the students would have an opportunity to meet someone from another country and really see what the situation was in the country. And it's become a valuable way for the visitors to also hear from America's youth. So it's been a great program, and we hope to involve even more, involving the consul generals into the classrooms. So it's a program we're looking to expand in the future.
About how many schools are participating in this program currently?
Primarily the high schools. We work closely with about 4 right now. And we'd like to really get it into the middle schools, because that's kind of where you get the interest, to get the international interest for a student, for them to understand that there's opportunities for exchange programs. Hopefully, we will be able to do that again. So the middle school, I think, is a really good age to begin. And so that's our goal, is to get it into the middle schools as well as the high schools.
Overall, how many visitors are you bringing to the greater Los Angeles region, and how many come through your programs each year?
Well, last year, 2019, we had 700 visitors exactly.
Oh, wow.
And they came from 135 different countries.
And what are some of the themes of the programs that you run through here?
Well, as you mentioned in the intro, they are very diverse. The common ones we get quite frequently are issues on women empowerment. We do a lot with countering violent extremism. We do a lot on climate change, sustainability issues, civic engagement. So the visitors, like I mentioned, range from all walks of life in their country. So they may, within one project, we may have some from all those walks of life on that particular topic.
And clearly these are emerging leaders in their own rights that have been identified by our government around the world. And I know any number of these leaders themselves have gone on to significant leadership in their respective countries. I don't know if you can name drop any of these leaders or the countries. I'd be interested to know if you have any tidbits you can share.
I don't know the exact status now of the current heads of state in the countries that were alumni of this program, but there are hundreds over the years. From Japan, for instance, there's been 4 prime ministers.
Oh, wow.
From Italy, there's been about 3. South Korea, there's been 6. From the UK, there's some notable ones that I think everyone knows the name of: Tony Blair and Margaret Thatcher. They were both alumni of the program. Frederick de Klerk came when he was not the president, but when he was a member of parliament.
And this is former President F.W. de Klerk from South Africa.
Yes. I'm sorry, yes, from South Africa. He noted that it was that trip that opened his eyes that apartheid needed to end.
Wow. So that's an amazing impact and clearly, amazing opportunity for our region to connect with these leaders who have gone on to great things in their respective regions. So Janet, your work is to bring people together. However, the COVID-19 pandemic has really pulled people apart and pulled countries apart in many regards. So how has your work adjusted to these times, and how are you delivering on your mission?
Obviously, that's a tough one for us, because what we do and what we love to do is welcome the visitors to Los Angeles, arrange for them to meet with all these interesting people. We have no shortage of great organizations and outstanding people for them to meet with in the Los Angeles area. And by the way, I just want to mention that we program the entire county of Los Angeles, also into Santa Barbara and Orange counties.
Okay.
So we're programming the entire area. We work with all the 88 cities in the county and, of course, the city of Los Angeles. It's been a little difficult transition, but we did our first virtual program.
Oh, interesting. Share more about that, please.
That was through a different program, which is called Open World. That was a program that began in 1999 with the Library of Congress, where they wanted to have a program for Russian government officials. And we did the first program in 1999, and we've been doing it ever since. It's a little different. They are chosen differently. They weren't handpicked. They apply for it. Now the program has expanded to all countries that were the former Soviet Union.
Okay.
But in April, we were supposed to have had that program for a group of Russian journalists. And obviously, in April, that didn't happen.
Right.
So they are scheduled and have committed that they will come next year. We don't know yet when. But we did a virtual program for them. And their topic, they were Russian journalists with the topic of media literacy.
Okay. How did that go? How many participants and how did that go?
There were five. There were five
Okay.
journalists. And it was wonderful. It was kind of a nice thing. It made us realize maybe that'd be nice to do with every program, to get to meet them before they actually come.
Mm-hmm.
One of the organizations they were going to meet with was the Media Literacy Center, headed by Tessa Joels. She met with them virtually, and they were able to ask her lots of questions. We were able to see the visitors and engage with them a little bit. They ask us questions like, what's the weather going to be like? And what's the food like?
When is this group scheduled to come here?
They haven't yet determined the date for 2021,
Okay.
but they have committed to do that. So we're looking forward to it now. And we've already had a chance to meet them virtually.
No, that's excellent. Well, clearly, collaboration and partnerships are crucial to your work, because you're programming all these visitors around topics and you want to connect them to their counterparts here in the Los Angeles region. So can you share with us, how many collaborative partners do you work with across, the county to deliver on your mission?
Hundreds and hundreds. As I mentioned, we program not only the city, but the county and into Santa Barbara and Orange County. So we have many outstanding organizations, and we hope it'll be a win-win situation. So they learn from the visitors learn from them, and they can continue to collaborate, from anything like climate change to art exhibits. We just hope there'll be a great collaboration that follows forward.
Well, and I know, you mentioned one of your recent programs that has resulted or evolved into this global film project. Can you speak about that?
Yes. One of the resources we use, which also, with your question about the schools, is at Cleveland High School in the Valley. And they have a magnet school for media. And we've been working with them for many years when we have groups that are coming on media and filmmaking. So the students there are doing outstanding things. The teacher there has an organization that she formed called the International Youth Media Summit. And there's a summit that's held every year in a different country. It was supposed to be in Croatia this year, which I was going to go to.
Oh, wow. Okay.
But maybe next year, I hope. And she keeps in touch with the filmmakers that she meets with when they come to her school. And they are now working on a project with 22 filmmakers from around the world. And the film is called Sanationi. It means healing. And so it's going to be about how can we heal the world after this pandemic and all the things that have been happening around the world during this time as well, the many, many demonstrations and unrest. And it's a wonderful project. So they're all working in their own countries, but somebody in one country is doing the editing, another is doing the filming, and it's a wonderful project. So we're looking forward for that. It'll be aired as episodes.
Okay.
So the first episode will be coming up quite soon, I think.
And all of these filmmakers participants in the IVCLA program?
Not all 22, but 3 of them.
Okay.
One from Egypt, one from Lebanon, and one from India.
Oh, interesting.
Yes.
Oh, that's terrific.
And the Indian filmmaker also participated in the activity that they had at Cleveland High School when they had their local media celebration.
Wow.
So he allowed some of his films to be screened and participated virtually at that event as well.
Well, we need to connect that filmmaker to New Filmmakers LA, which was our episode 3, which programs monthly emerging and diverse filmmakers and has a wide range of international programs as well. So that would be a great connection to make for sure.
Absolutely.
Well, Janet, I saw a blog post a few months ago from Save the Children, and it raised the question, will COVID-19 bring the world closer together or drive it further apart? And it discussed the need to make the case for both the necessity and effectiveness of global cooperation. So, what are your thoughts on that? And, how do you envision the work and the role and the importance of IVCLA going forward?
I think it will, in the long run, bring us closer together. And I think we'll recognize that we need each other. One of our visitors who was the last to leave, it was a little bit hectic in March when everything was starting to close down, and we had quite a number of visitors in town at that point. So we had to arrange for them to get out of town as quickly as possible. And one of the last to leave was a visitor from Colombia. He was here on the subject of minority participation in the political process.
Okay.
And when he got back home, he emailed us and thanked us for everything and said it was then that he recognized, with everything he went through, trying to get home, with everything shutting down, that we were all in this together, that we're all experiencing the same thing. And that's so true, and we're feeling very heartwarmed about the information we get from the visitors, our alumni visitors, who've been emailing us. We've been reaching out to them. They've been reaching out to us. We're sharing their information, what's happening with them in their countries, on our newsletter. And it's been really nice to stay connected with our alumni more than we normally. Now we have time to do that.
Sure. How many, 40 years, how many alumni do you have, would you say, roughly?
40,000, close
Wow.
to 40,000. Yeah.
That's an amazing number, an amazing accomplishment, and certainly, that's a great a great base of relationships for our region, communicating our story, but also hearing these stories from around the world. So Janet, we really, excited about the work that you do and that you have done. And again, congratulate IVCLA on 40 wonderful years of connecting LA to the world and the world to Los Angeles. But before we leave, we like to wind down and share with our audience a bit more about you and your Los Angeles. So we have a few lightning round questions, and we hope you'll indulge us. We'll start with simply, where are you from originally?
I grew up in Nebraska, small town in Nebraska.
Which neighborhood do you live in currently?
West Hollywood.
Great community. Mobility is a huge issue. Uber, Lyft, yellow cab, bike, bus, walk, metro, or scooter?
I'd love to lie and say bike, but it's Uber.
Netflix, Amazon, Hulu, or Disney Plus?
Netflix.
Favorite LA restaurant?
Oh, there's so many. I'm going to give a plug to, it's not exactly a restaurant, but it's owned by a former International Visitor Leader participant from Italy. It's in West Hollywood. It's called Gelato Festival, and it has excellent gelato.
Okay, excellent. We like that. Favorite spot to take a visitor to Los Angeles?
Watts Community Action Labor Committee.
Okay. Lakers or Clippers?
Lakers.
Dodgers, Angels?
Dodgers.
Favorite park in Los Angeles?
Runyon Park.
Bruins or Trojans?
Oh, my goodness. I have to say Bruins. My son's a UCLA grad. I have to say Bruins.
Okay. Well, Janet, this dialogue has been great, and we really appreciate your time this afternoon, and we appreciate all the work that IVCLA does in building global community. And we, again, want to thank you for 40 years of service to LA and to the world. For those who want to get involved, please check out our episode notes and check out IVCLA at www.ivcla.org. And to our audience, thank you again for tuning in. We hope you enjoyed this program, and we hope you join us next week as we look forward to another great conversation about leaders moving Los Angeles forward. Until we meet again, stay strong, get involved. To learn more about Civitas LA and share feedback on this program, or if you have a recommendation about future programs, please visit our website at www.civitasla.com. And we hope you'll connect with us on social media, on Facebook at Civitas LA, Instagram at Civitas_LA, and Twitter at Civitas_LA.